Let's uncover the secrets behind a career with purpose.
Join us as we speak to people that turn their biggest passions into their life's work.
I love it.
And inspire you to become the superhero of your own story.
Today's guest is Christl Clear, best known on social media for her honest and transparent content about life, fashion, and social political topics such as feminism, racism, body neutrality, and much more. Christl is also the author of Let Me Be Christl Clear and a regular speaker at conferences, events, and podcasts such as this one. Christl, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. That's a very nice introduction. No wonder I'm so tired.
Yeah. So usually we always start with a bit of a left field question, which is around energy. So go for it.
Yeah, what actually energizes you right now outside of work and career?
I think the vision of just making it better. There is a possibility. I know at times like these, sometimes you're like, oh, is this ever going to change? And I actually really do believe it changes. I just believe it takes time and actions, and yeah, that actually really energizes me.
That's awesome. Yeah, you strike me as a very optimistic person, actually, in some way.
I think I'm more realistic than optimistic, at least now. I used to be very optimistic, but then I grew up.
And then you get snagged by
and then,
life.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then reality just bitch slaps you.
Yeah, well, I wanted to start today with a bit of an anecdote because 2 weeks ago I was talking with a friend of my girlfriend's who I was telling her we're doing this podcast. She was asking who were some of the guests, and I told her that we're actually having you as a guest. And she was like so excited. She was just like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, she's such an inspiration of mine. And I kind of asked her why. And so she's Austrian, but her mother is Iranian. So she always, I think, struggled a little bit with the identity of, growing up in Austria, which is quite conservative and dealing with these different facets of her identity. And what she just loved about you was sort of this mix of, you kind of do work that you care about, but you're also very relatable in the way that you also talk about a lot of these different topics with kind of this like lightness to it, right? Like, you're also looking into fashion and art and culture, and like, she was working for a museum for a long time, and she's also super into this kind of stuff. And obviously there's like over 60,000 people at least on Instagram that relate to that too. So what do you think it is about, your work and you also, right, that relates with so many people?
I think just being human. I know it sounds stupid, but I cannot be somebody else besides myself. I cannot be somebody else besides myself in front of my phone camera. Because if you meet me on the street and I'm a completely different person, I would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I just decided very early on, I slipped into this whole business, but I decided there is no way I'm using filter. There's no way I'm going to act like somebody I'm not. You basically get what you see. And I think that helps a lot. And I think also me just trying to be as realistic about life as possible. Because life is lifing. My life is not perfect. I'm not a rich person, but I'm also no longer a poor person. And I try to just keep it real and not hide anything about that.
So like really authentic self, basically.
Yes, I just kind of got a little bit sick of the word authentic.
Yeah,
really?
yeah, I feel you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically it is. Yeah, because people use it like all the
Overuse it.
time.
And also, what is our authentic self, right?
Because there's also, you have to have a good boundary between like your private life and what you put outside, and sometimes not putting certain things in public makes you feel authentic when in reality you're just trying to protect your peace.
Would you rather say real then?
Yeah, real. Yes.
A bit more honest, transparent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I find also so super refreshing about your content. And I'm curious, kind of like run us through sort of how this actually started for you. Like, did it start just as, because not everybody has the balls actually to like be so real and so transparent on you know, social media and stuff. So what was that first motivation? Were you just like doing it with friends and it kind of just popped off, or?
No, well, actually, I used to be an editor in music and fashion and beauty a little bit and lifestyle stuff. And I remember working for a magazine where I was, and those were back in the days where the internet was not as big.
Right.
And I remember telling my boss, listen, I think we need a proper website. And she was like, I don't think so.
What?
Nobody needs that. Nobody's going to read that. And I was like,
It's so foreign
okay,
now.
well, fine. I'm going to do my own then. So I started my own blog basically and just wrote stuff I was thinking about and stuff I was missing on media in Austria. And I used to interview musicians and celebrities, and not everything got into the magazine. So my boss was like, listen, if it doesn't get in the magazine, you can use it for your blog. And I did. And that's how it started. And then I switched to another magazine where they actually believed in website, but they didn't believe in social media. And I was like, listen, I think we need an Instagram account. And then
Forward thinking.
Yes,
every time.
because I consume American and Canadian media just as much as I consume African media and media from North Europe. I just like to consume different sorts of media, and basically everybody's ahead of us.
No, totally.
In Austria, at
I mean,
least.
let's be real.
Yes, and I remember my boss saying, nobody's gonna use Instagram as a company or as a magazine. And I was like, fine, I will. And that's how it started. So I just started doing social media, and I remember being on vacation with my now husband, and he was constantly talking to his phone. And I was like, who are you actually talking to? And he was like, I'm on Snapchat. And I was like, what do you mean you're on Snapchat? And then he explained to me Snapchat. And I think the fact that I started off on Snapchat just with my friends, talking to them on the phone like I would FaceTime them now, and then just shifting over to Instagram, because Instagram basically copied Snapchat back then.
Totally.
Totally. People don't know. I think people don't know.
It flies over people's heads. But totally.
Yeah, why to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that moment with stories. I was like, whoa.
The
this is a
audacity.
That was a long time ago too.
Yes. And I remember just switching over to Instagram, and since I had a following from my blog on Facebook, I just brought the following to Instagram. It wasn't big. We're talking like 4,000 people, which is
already not
it's
terrible.
a lot,
I mean,
but
still,
it's
for
not
that time
as,
too.
Yeah, but
it's not 60,000.
Exactly.
For sure.
So it wasn't that big. And I think the fact that it didn't feel as much made me very comfortable. Also, I'm a no F's to give person a lot of time. So yeah, that's how I ended up. And that's how I end up talking to my following every day. Mostly.
And were you like growing up, were you a bit of a performer already? Like, did you kind of have this personality trait that was just like really open and you know, you could kind of just be in front of the camera and this wasn't a problem for you?
No, I was just, I mean, I have 3 siblings and I'm one of the middle childs. So I think that makes me very bold because I'm always protected by my bigger sister. And then I always have my 2 brothers being a good puffer. So I could do whatever I wanted. I was never a really scared kid. And I didn't really, the camera was not my thing. I just never really cared. But I also had a sister who was, I know I was protected, so I was fine. And I think that helped me a lot.
And for people who are listening to us, like young people, would you say, are these like special skills or qualities that you can develop over time rather than like being born into it, you know? Yes,
I believe you can learn everything. I think with a lot of practice and determination, you can learn everything. But I also, to be fully honest, think not everybody is cut out for it. And I think that's okay. I think not everybody can handle the pressure. Not everybody should handle the pressure. It's not as easy for everybody to talk the way we're just having this conversation. Because to be fully honest, we don't know each other.
It's just
a very and it's a very comfortable situation. But not everybody's cut out like that. I'm very outgoing if I feel comfortable. If not, I'm not. And we're not all the same. So you just have to try it. If it doesn't feel comfortable and you've tried a couple of times, then maybe switch. Maybe you need to be in production. Maybe you need to be behind the camera. Maybe there's something else you need to do. But I think, it's that's the cool thing about life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
try.
Find a place.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I'm relating to right now in my head is like being a founder. And like even when you are really not comfortable speaking before a crowd of people, like public speaking and so on, this is the only way to like put your idea into something. Like you usually pitch at a contest or you pitch before investors or you pitch to find a co-founder, funding, etc., etc. And this is like so difficult, especially at the start, especially as a young person. It's like, oh my God, nerve-wracking.
Yes, but I think that's something you can actually practice.
Yeah.
Pitching, because you're pitching something you're very passionate about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can practice that. You can practice that in front of your friends. You can practice that in front of your family. You can practice that in front of the mirror or your phone. That's something you can practice.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a little bit different than just like me standing in front of my phone camera every day and kind of letting people...
And also being in the street and like, you know, like this is also a thing, right?
Yeah, I never cared.
Yeah.
I never cared because,
that's awesome.
Listen, what are you judging me for? Talking to my phone? I think there are people out there doing worse.
Oh. Yeah, and we judge the wrong people for the wrong
exactly.
things.
And I have Nigerian roots, and I think it also helped that I grew up in an environment where stuff like that is nothing you get judged about.
For sure.
I don't mind being seen. I don't mind being... Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind people staring at me as long as it's respectful. So I think that helped also a lot.
Yeah, we talk about this with Olga a lot because, for example, we just released this big video series where I ended up being the host and being in front of the camera, and I really like being in front of the camera. Like I like the spotlight. Like throw some cameras on me, I don't mind. And I think it's also, you know, I grew up in North America. I spent a lot of time, you know, in schools where you're forced to kind of like, you know, show yourself. And I don't want to say pitch, but, you know, since I was like 7 years old, you're kind of going in front of the class and just like talking, right? So you're kind of like, confidence is one of the skills that you really build. And Olga, who's Ukrainian, like we always talk about this kind of difference in the upbringing because you just don't have the same kind of experiences, like culturally, right? It's just not the same kind of...
Totally.
Is it different?
Yeah, totally different. Especially when I was growing up, and like our culture and our system, it was like 90s, right after the Soviet Union collapsed. And everything was still very like rigid schedule, everything super tight. This is like you have to follow rules. Like at school, you have to answer everything according to the chapter. Like you cannot voice your own opinion because it is not according to what's written. So people are not used to really speak up, voice their opinions, or like even publicly speak. Like me speaking to you right now and me 10 years ago is like, I would be silent. I would
but you're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great. You're doing great. I wouldn't have noticed. But I can imagine growing up in a very liberal context and then growing up in post-communism?
Yeah, post-Soviet, so like super communistic.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, it must have been a cultural shock even coming here.
I mean, you were in the UK.
I had a little bit of transition mode. First, I went to Poland, so it was a little bit more slow, exactly.
Slow diving.
Exactly. Then I went to the UK. UK I loved, by the way, because it was so open-minded and like everybody are different, and no matter who you are accepted. You're not under the microscope. Do whatever you want. And I really loved it because it made me like relax. I don't know, and like talk the way I talk and be who I am. In Austria,
yes, Austria is very, very. How do I say it? It's not even. I think Austria is very tight. I always think to myself, listen, everybody relax. Life is so good when you relax.
And we have, especially here, life is so good,
life
right?
Is good. Listen, I was in Nigeria this year and I was in Thailand and I loved it. And I loved coming back because I'm like what I call a Heimscheißerin. I love coming back to, I was born and raised in this country. But what I miss in Austria is just the fact that people do not know how to relax if you don't give them a beer. And I don't understand why, because we're good. We're actually good.
Yeah.
We're not even in a dark country. It's like, we have it. We're fine. And yet still people are so clenched. And I'm like, why? So I get it.
I was talking about yesterday when I was in a bus and like people kept like pushing me in order to get out, and I'm like standing there wondering, why can't you just say sorry?
Something. Very passive aggressive.
Why? There is also so
passive-aggressive.
much space. Just talk to me, you know?
Yeah, I think it's I always say this. I think it comes from war, from Second World War, because if you think of it, that's not so long ago. And I think the fact that it has always been addressed, as in what happened and history, but not in a social way, and what it did to the people.
Totally.
Everything.
There
and
hasn't been that emotional sort of integration.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot swept under the rug.
Totally.
And you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel it in the air. And I think you can also, not all of them, of course, not all Austrians, basically, obviously, but you can kind of feel it in the way communication is handled in Austria. And people always get a little bit offended when I say that, but I think it's not as open if it comes to communication as many other countries.
Totally.
And I will tell you, listen, I didn't appreciate what you just said to me. And people are like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because I didn't appreciate it. It's not
personal.
It's not personal, and it's not, we don't need to fight about it. I'm just saying how it made me feel.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. I don't hate you. I'm not mad at you. I just need you to know. And that's not very, it's not very Austrian culturally.
Do you feel like that's one of your, like, the appeals of the work that you do? That you actually kind of bring maybe a little bit of color and openness into the mix? Like that you can get a little bit out of this tightness?
Yeah, I feel like, yes, I think it's the fact that I live in gray zones. Sometimes I find myself like living in this black or white thing, especially if something very intense happens and I feel like, okay, I need to pick a side. And then it takes me a while to just find a good gray zone where people actually listen to you because nothing is black and white in life.
No.
And I feel I pick up the people by saying, listen, I understand why you have this extreme opinion, but however, there's another perspective we need to consider, which is not always easy, especially if it's regarding something that kind of hits home in some form of way.
Sure.
And I always try to find a gray zone, and I try to keep it real. Like, for example, yesterday I was checked for saying something really stupid 3 weeks ago, and the person just checked me yesterday, and I thought, okay, what am I gonna do? And then I realized, what would I want somebody to do who said something stupid about, like, for example, my Nigerian culture? And I thought, okay, do you know what? I'm just going to address it the way it is. I didn't know better. I said something stupid. I'm sorry, period. And then I found another video on TikTok that is kind of educational about the topic. And I reposted that so people understand why it was exceptionally stupid to say what I said back then. And I think just being very open and very human and very realistic about certain issues might make it appealing for people to follow me and watch me and listen to me.
And that's true that on your Instagram you bring a lot of topics about racism, self-identity, and what was your experience like finding space for those topics on such platforms like Instagram, which is like all about trends, I don't know, like super fast-paced, fun content and so on. And was it something that you couldn't just like not talk about?
Yes, I felt like if I'm talking about my life, and I always talked about different aspects of my life, it is part of my life in Austria. So there was no way I can act like it's not. And it's not, it got bigger with the murder of George Floyd, but I always talked about certain things just because I had a different perspective and I had a platform. And for me personally, it was not an option to have a platform and not use it. I don't like people calling me an activist because I'm not, but I like talking about certain topics in a very, I wouldn't even say playful way, but in a way that it actually helps people to not relate, even though they can't really relate, but understand in some form of way. Because I feel like also a lot of this work, this anti-racism work and anti-LGBTQ activism work is very hard to understand. So many words people don't actually know and da-da-da. Sure. And I like to break it down because to be fully honest, that's how I like to consume it. I don't want to look up every single word I use. And I'm quite educated. I allow myself to call myself very educated. And yet still sometimes if I read books, I'm like, it's so exhausting because why can't this just be easier to understand and to comprehend? And I want people with all sorts of educational levels and age to kind of learn.
Yes.
So
and I feel like at the end this creates a little bit of this, like you are scared or uncomfortable to say these words because you don't know if how it will come out. Am I saying the right thing?
Yes.
And it also like a bit of a challenge and a border for the discussion, because the discussion is the most important thing. Not that, I mean, yes, the words that you use are also important, but still.
Yes, and I feel like if we want to have a change, we need to have a change for everybody and not just for the highly intellectual people. Because let's be honest, they're going to be like,
for sure,
they're going to be better off everybody else.
They'll be fine.
Yes, they'll be fine at some point.
Yes.
But if you're like not highly educated, which happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
My dad was not, my mom is not, but still they get it because you talk to them in a way they understand.
Yeah.
But I feel like also that's something that I've seen in your work is just like you're also very open about your own kind of mistakes and the things that you might do. And I feel like that's also something that's quite refreshing probably for a lot of other people because it kind of just creates a little bit less, as you were saying, black and white, right? In what you put out. But do you I still find that like terrifying still, especially in like the digital age. So is it still for you now, like even after doing this for such a long time, like do you still kind of, because you're talking about really sensitive topics sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So how does that, feel like from the personal standpoint?
Yeah, it sometimes gets really exhausted because you don't always deal with positive feedback.
Oh, for sure.
And you don't always deal with
open.
People who get it.
Yeah.
So you get feedback that is really, let me just say it, stupid.
Yeah.
And it's really, sometimes it's annoying, sometimes it's scary because you get insight you probably wouldn't get if you're not in my position because all sorts of people follow me. So you get messages where you think, I couldn't even imagine people who think like this exist. And now I know.
Yeah.
But
freaky.
But yeah, sometimes it gets scary. Sometimes it depends on my mood as well. But sometimes it gets exhausted. But to be fully honest, sometimes it's also just beautiful.
Yeah.
People can be so nice. People can be so fun. People are so creative. And sometimes when you feel like, oh, I actually made a change, that's also very, very nice.
Definitely. Yeah. One thing also that I didn't really know so much about you until I was kind of diving into your work with my partner is who, for context, put me on to Christl Clear. That's the context. But I didn't know that you also did so much work kind of behind the scenes, right? Because I feel like a lot of people really know you for the social media stuff, right? But that you're also super active kind of behind the scenes. You like participate in a lot of different events and conferences. You support a lot of different groups, right? In different ways. So sort of what, like, how have you transitioned some of that digital work, right? Then that kind of digital existence into this physical, being at these events and talking to these people and also being a little bit of like a supporter on the ground for some of these different things?
So to be fully honest, you can make a lot of money as an influencer in Austria. I think I know there are a lot of people that make way more money than I do, but all of a sudden I grew up very broke and all of a sudden I had money. So I felt like, okay, yes, I can buy cute handbags and yes, I can go on cute vacations, but I can also give a little bit to organizations and companies that are just trying to make a change. So that's what I did because that's something I would love if I would be in their position. And then going to all these events and just talking about it, I love people as much as I hate them sometimes, to be fully honest. And I love, yes, and I love talking to them. And I love hearing their experiences and hearing their perspective and just learning as much from them as they can learn from me. And that's how it just happens.
It's just like a natural step forward.
Yes. And my sister is the CEO of SARA, the anti-racism thingy. So I get in a lot of events with her as well. I mean, we are like very different if it comes to our businesses. But so we cross paths. And and I sometimes also just throw events I would have loved to have. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
Very cool.
I also see like a thread running through your word, through your
What?
That I noticed. Tell me if it's true or not. The fight for self-determination, and not only like from a feminist perspective, but also like in general in life. And maybe you could share. Maybe you could share like what in general self-determination means to you.
No, I need you to give me an example. For example,
I think like I noticed it through your posts on Instagram. Like you talk a lot about like believing in yourself and like taking a stance, especially for women or marginalized communities.
Yes.
And maybe like you could show your perspective on that.
I feel like being a woman. Do you know what? No, I feel like being a flinter. Life is based on shame a lot. We are shamed like nobody else on this planet. Basically, everything we do is put under the microscope because we can't win. If you have a kid, why did you have a kid so early? Why did you have a kid so late? Why did you have a kid when you have a career? You can't win if you don't have a kid. You can't win if you're married. If you're not married, what's wrong with you? If you're dating, what's wrong with you? If you're dating, you just can't win.
Yeah.
We can't win. Our life is based on shame. Our period is based on shame. Our hair is based on shame. We cannot win. And it's a social construct. And I refuse to live in it. I do whatever I want to do and what feels good for me. And I try not to judge any other person. And I think that is what we need to do. Also not judge us. Do you know what I mean? And I also try not to judge if you change your mind. If you used to be a person that says, listen, I love my body hair. I want to have it, da-da-da-da-da. And then one day you wake up and you're like, do you know what? I feel like shaving it all off. That should be okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like we kind of stopped. Everybody has an opinion about everybody. I don't care if that lady there has lip fillers. It doesn't affect me. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just want to be me and that needs to be okay. And I want that for everybody else because my existence is not hurting anybody. And I wish that for everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that kind of...
Yes. I totally agree. I also think that it's amazing if people just like lead the life how they feel they want to lead it, right?
As long as they don't hurt other people.
I mean,
exactly.
yes, of course. Yes.
I don't feel the need to not to. I was raised in a very Nigerian household by a very Nigerian mom. She was like, listen, you're a fabulous person. I think I did everything right by raising you and your siblings. And I didn't grow up in a household where I was kept small.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in the most lovingly household, but I was raised properly with good intentions. And even though it wasn't easy growing up as a black kid in Austria in the 80s, I still never considered me not being cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you still have that swagger.
I still have that. And since my aunties are all sizes and like different personalities, I also never, and I love my aunties. I always thought they were so cool. All these loud women, having so much fun and making jokes of their men, but being good moms and cool aunties. So in my head, me not being skinny, for example, was never anything bad, especially growing up in Africa where skinny is like, it's not as glorified as it is here in the Western world. So I think growing up with like in a Nigerian household in Austria, yes, I dealt with racism a lot and it pissed me off. But I kind of know I went home and my mom was like, you're not the problem, they are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that helped a lot.
Yeah.
And that's something I would like to
put out into the world.
Put out into the world.
Amazing.
But
really.
it's also a little bit, it's that paradox too, right? Because there's the self-determination, which is, about everyone should kind of be able to, like rock out and like find their groove, especially people from different marginalized communities, but at the same time, still addressing the fact that there's these systemic components that are also making it really difficult for that person to thrive. And, because I feel like also at the moment, especially like on social media and stuff, there's just so much kind of neoliberal, like individualistic thought that goes into it, where it's really just about, every single person can change their life if they want to change their life. But it's also about addressing that, like, no, sometimes it's really, really difficult, and you can only like make certain changes, right? And like, of course you can have more confidence and stuff, but there's also certain kind of systemic issues that need to be challenged,
yes,
right? And
absolutely.
like you also walk that line quite well, I feel like.
Yes, and I feel like with social media, we kind of forgot about like progress. It's
Word.
like, do you know what I mean? It's like people think,
now,
yes,
like crazy.
you don't work for whatever you're trying to achieve. It needs progress. And we got so impatient by reaching our goals, that whatever that may be, that we just kind of forgot about context and we forgot about
community and people. And,
yes. So, it's not easy, but nobody ever said it's easy.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to remember it's not easy, but it's also kind of enjoying the progress.
Yeah.
Yes.
We also forgot to enjoy the progress.
100%.
Yeah, have fun during the way.
Yes, and celebrate the little wins.
Yeah, exactly.
And since it is like hard work, like why do you do it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I learn so much. I have the opportunity to actually talk to people that I probably would have never talked to. Learn about different realities. I wouldn't have learned as much about the LGBTQI plus community if it wasn't for the internet, for example. And I have a lot of queer friends, but the deep dive into it on the internet opened so many doors and opened so many perspectives for me. I wouldn't have learned as much about the, for example, Muslim community. Some of my friends I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for social media. And I wouldn't miss them for the world now. So I just love it as much as I hate it sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
But most of the time I love it because it opens doors if you use it properly. If it doesn't get into your head.
And then I want to ask a question, like, how did you like make it your full-time career? Because you had like a more stable, let's say 9-to-5 job, and then you actually believed in yourself, took this leap, and you started something a little bit more uncertain and like your own business, your own thing.
Well, you call it believe in myself. I was like, let me just try.
So it was much easier than that.
In Viennese, people would say, "Wir passen." It's going to be okay.
Yeah, whatever happens.
Yeah. Listen, I had that full-time job. It wasn't paid as good as it should have been paid, to be fully honest. And I remember my boss, who is now a food blogger, Kevin, the Stepford husband, he was my boss at the last magazine we worked together. And he was like, I'm quitting. I'm going to be a full-time food blogger. And I was like, you're going to be a what?
Especially at that time.
That's that
when was
like,
it?
That must have been 9 years ago.
Wow.
Okay.
9
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, what
Different
do
time.
you mean? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And And I have never been self-employed. And everybody who's self-employed in Austria will tell you it is it is scary, to say the least. It's very intense.
Yeah.
And I remember him literally leaving and doing it. And after 3 months, he was like, I think you should do that too. And I was like, there's no way. I'm broke. I need the money, and I'm scared to like not have any money. And the fact that you have to like everything you earn, you have to take 50% and put it on side, because God knows Austrian government is going to be like,
what's going to happen?
And after 3 months, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try. So I went home to my now husband, and I was like, I want to be self-employed. And I know he was like rolling his eyes.
Of course you do.
Yes, of course you do. And he was like, do you know what? Just try it. I mean, we live in this flat together, so if you can't pay rent for a couple of months, we'll be fine. I can carry it. Yeah. Just try. And I tried, and it worked from the very, very beginning.
Wow.
But I wasn't scared to ask.
Yeah.
So, for example, there's this big fashion company I then worked with 8 years long, for 8 years. And I remember there was Beyonce's first collection, and I knew they wanted to sell it in Austria. And I actually wrote them an email. I was like, I'm the only black female influencer in Austria. You should work with me. And they were like,
love it.
Okay. And that's how it started, and I never stopped. So yeah.
Yeah, you do have
So
to have
cool.
a little bit that like go-getter mentality. Otherwise it doesn't happen.
Yes, I guess so. Especially if you want to keep it.
For sure.
Yes, and I'm not scared to try stuff. I'm not scared. Like, I sometimes wake up and I have this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my team is like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, here she is with
Not
another
again.
idea. I know we're not going to sleep for weeks. And then I just try to make it happen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but I'm okay if it doesn't work, but at least I tried.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
Better
not scared.
try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not scared to fail. I'm not scared to look exceptionally stupid.
And maybe you would
Confidence.
have like
Yeah.
a piece of advice to people who actually are scared, to people who are, I don't know, right after university and they see a purpose in doing something, in maybe opening their own venture or starting a project, but they're scared because of the self-employment, because everything that goes with it. Maybe like something that could help them.
I think starting small is something we don't talk a lot about. I think we need to, sometimes it's okay to start small. It's okay. It's actually smart to start small and then progress, rather than just be very extreme and go big.
Yeah.
Because chances are, if you go big very fast, you're going to go home very fast as well. So I know people say go big or go home, but sometimes you're just going to go home. I think starting small, I think being surrounded by people who are like-minded. Because I remember I used to have friends, we're not friends anymore. They were like, they made fun of me for being an influencer. They made fun of me for talking on my phone. And after time, me being successful, they all of a sudden, they were like, yeah, ich hab schon, I was about to switch to German. That happened really fast.
Can, it's fine.
They were like,
It's okay.
I believed in you from the very start. And I always remember how people make me feel, not what they say, but how they made me feel.
Yeah.
So I remember, so be surrounded by like-minded people, because the way you can like ping pong your ideas is, even if it doesn't feel that way at the moment, it sometimes is really cool.
Yeah.
And do not care about being cringy. People always, I hate the word cringe, to be fully honest, because I feel like, what is cringe? People trying to do whatever they want to do. As long as you're not hurting anybody, do what you want to do. People are always going to judge you. Somebody's always going to have an opinion about you. Somebody's probably out there writing in their group chat about you, but it's actually none of your business, and thinking about it is just holding you back. Just do whatever you want to do and just keep it fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about this a lot, because I also am definitely one of those people where I'm just like, oh God, that's so cringe. And then I always have this moment of introspection where I'm just like, where's that reaction coming from? Right? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? And I feel like almost all the time it comes down back to some kind of like, you know, inner jealousy that I'm not doing that thing, or that I don't have the boldness to actually go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? And I feel like actually like, this is actually so cool what they're doing, you know?
Yes, because I'm like, for example, people think TikTok is very cringe because they have this conception of it just being people dancing to music.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but what's wrong with people dancing to music?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, but why would you put up your phone and then just dance off a choreography in front of your phone? And I was like, why not? And then everybody's like, oh, yeah, because the world...
Because it's weird. Yeah.
Because why not? I don't do it, but the only reason I don't do it is I cannot hold a choreography in my mind if my life was depending on it. Listen, if I could, it would be over for you. I just can't.
You become the next big TikTok dancer.
Ciara could go home. No, but I'm like, what is cringy at this point? What is cringy? Definitely not people doing whatever they're doing on the internet. Definitely not people opening up their own businesses if they want to have a good idea and want to make a change. That's not cringy for me. Politicians who are actually profiting from our struggle, those are the people we need to criticize, not each other.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's also like, I feel like the system has been really good at pushing that onto us rather than the people that we really should be criticizing.
And every time I have like a bad day and I question myself and ask myself, is this kind of embarrassing? Is this something I should put online? I ask myself, who is it embarrassing to though? Who are the people who are going to think I'm cringy or embarrassing? Because they could never.
Yeah.
But they have very strong opinions.
Yeah.
Mostly the people who could never have very strong opinion. And it's okay to just not do what I'm doing, what you're doing, what they're doing. But if you have a very strong opinion about it, I need to know why.
And you would never take advice from them in the first place. So why would you try to get their approval?
Yes.
Yeah, whack.
You're like, loser.
Yeah. You talked about help, like seeking help. And I think this is something that, especially when you're first starting out doing whatever you are, like if you want to be an influencer or become an entrepreneur or like, I don't know, whatever, like you want to create a cool collective with your friends. It's sometimes I think it's really hard to ask for help and to kind of like letting the ego gets in the way maybe also a little bit, or at least there's like a shame in asking for help that's kind of connected. So was that just natural for you that you were able to go ahead and ask people for help and you know, reach out? Or was that something that you had to, you know, maybe work with other people to kind of develop?
I think since I was kind of in the OG area of influencers in Austria, we had no choice than helping each other, being very open to each other about what we earned, what we got, what was that helped. Then having friends and family members who used to be self-employed all their life, for example, as older being since they've been working, helped me a lot. Listening, I listen to every conversation, even if it's none of my business, because I find it interesting.
Yeah, same. My girlfriend hates that, but same.
It's really, and I also watch people. So I learn from what people are doing. I learn from their mistakes. I learn from their success. That helped me a lot. And I don't mind asking for help because I don't mind people asking me for help. And most of the time I can't help everybody. My DMs are always full with, hey, can you help me with this project? Can you do this? I can't help everybody.
Everyone, of course.
It sometimes hurts my feelings, but then I have to be realistic. And I don't mind asking for help because I don't want people to be scared to ask me for help. And I think that helps.
I think I already know the answer, but I will still ask. Competition or collaboration?
Collaboration all the way. I just got mad on a colleague for building competition where it wasn't necessary. And I actually told her, we could have done this together and you chose to go behind my back, and I don't like that.
I feel like also in a business world, there is this thing of if you're in the same industry, you're competitors, right? And I feel like it has been shifting a lot to where in the same industry, I think depending on the industry as well, but let's take fashion because my project is also in fashion. And the people that I work with sometimes have very similar projects. It's either, I don't know, repair, clothes repair, or something more educational, raising awareness, reselling clothes. And instead of working against each other, we formed like a bubble of people, like you mentioned about your influencer bubble at the start. We also formed a bubble where instead of competing, we're actually helping each other and we're working together. We're coming together, we're organizing pop-ups together. And I think the idea is that the more successful you become, the more successful others become, your colleagues, and more people know about you, and demand is rising. So in the end of the day, all of you are benefiting from it. But I feel like there is still a lot of like notion in business world, I don't know how it is in your area as well, about competition. What is your take on that? Competition, collaboration, what is your experience with that?
I think a little competition is healthy, just to spice it up a little bit. And I think it needs to be, and it needs to stay very respectful. I feel like me being a Black female influencer, and then, for example, somebody else being a Black female influencer, we need to make sure we support each other, but we make sure we don't kind of copy each other too much. First of all, because it's not helping anybody if we do that, but also because it keeps it diverse.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it. Because let's be honest, a lot of white people think we all look the same. So if we basically all do the same and look the same, what's the point of it?
Disaster.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? No, but let's be honest. So I think I love supporting my colleagues. I love pushing them. I love giving them the platform. I love if they call me and they're like, listen, I don't know how much to charge. I love that. I also think competition is absolutely fine. It's something healthy as long as it's kept respectful.
Yeah. But also, I think what you're also pointing to, Olga, is that collaboration, also like this rising up of everyone, also really matters when there's like a strong mission that's behind it, right?
Yes.
Because if you have like a why that is about like social or environmental progress, then like we should all really, you know what I mean? Because then we all, it's not us that win, like it's not our ego, it's like the cause.
It's the cause. And you know what? Sometimes it's just also me seeing how much work you put in your work. It doesn't even have to sometimes have a purpose. Sometimes I just appreciate your work so much, and I need everybody to see it, and I will just shout you out. And that's okay. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't cost me anything. It's just, we all benefit from it.
Yeah, definitely.
You touched on this briefly because you mentioned the money piece a few times. I still want to touch on that because a lot of what we're also talking about is how you can also finance the things that you're interested in, because I think this is also like a huge portion to maybe doing something that's very focused on a social issue or an environmental issue, is like how do you actually fund that kind of work? What was your journey towards actually figuring out like, okay, like I'm not just, someone who posts on Instagram, but I'm going to become like a businesswoman and, securing these big brand deals that you've done and these collaborations. Like if this isn't, the world that you come from, having wealthy parents who can teach you this sort of thing, like where did you pick up that acumen?
I did not. I did not. No, it's literally I'm learning while I'm going. Okay. I ask a lot of questions. I Google a lot of stuff. As I said, I grew up broke, like broke. And then I was like, I was in debt for like 10,000 euros, not even 10 years ago. And I was busy making sure I got rid of that. And while I got rid of that, I learned. And I learned about my spending habits, which are still a little bit bad. But it's trial and error. And I ask questions. If my accountant writes me one of these emails and I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah. Throw it to somebody else that might.
Yes.
Throw it in ChatGPT.
Yeah. I'm like, and sometimes I'm like, do I have to pay or am I getting the money? And she's like, okay, Christiana, here we go. And then she has because and you don't get to learn this if you went to like gymnasium in Austria. They don't teach you. No. So I literally have no clue. I still don't have a lot of clues about all these money things. I just ask questions. And that's basically I just ask and Google
My
and
God.
talk to people.
So similar to me, like all the finance and all the accounting stuff. I'm like so lost all the time.
Yes, but I feel like do you know how it sometimes in life happens where when you get into a like corporate job and you go inside and you just act like you know what you're doing for a very long time, for like 2-3 months, and then someday you realize, oh, I actually know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I feel that's how it goes with finances and business. If you didn't like me learn it or went to school about it, you just make mistakes, you learn from the mistakes. You talk to other people, you learn from their mistakes, they tell you, they give you advice, So I talk to, especially to people who are in a spot that I want to be once, or I just admire their work, or I think the way they built the whole thingy is really cool. I talk to these people
And just ask
how they did it. Yeah.
And do you think that impact and money can coexist, or do you have to choose one or the other?
I think it can coexist. I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but I think it can coexist. I think it can coexist. I think...
Well, you're also kind of living proof of that. To some extent, right? Like, I feel like also from the outside, you know, I see that you do brand deals with different big companies and stuff like that, but like you still have a following that sees you as like a very authentic person.
Yes, I'm also not a billionaire. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
So
I mean, it depends what we're talking about when we say money. You know, like I'm not necessarily talking like Elon Musk rich, like, oh my God, I hope no one is. But you know what I mean? It's enough to kind of like make a living and be like, you know, satisfied.
Yes, exactly. I also never had the need to be like rich. Because I think it's not necessary. I think you can even have generational wealth by not being rich, and just being very comfortable. And to be fully honest, that's what I wish on everybody, just being very comfortable. Going to the supermarket and buying, I don't know, the most basics of most basic stuff without looking at the price. That's what I wish on everybody, and I think that's something that can coexist.
And when you were first starting out, did you think this could bring you money? Did you think that you could actually make money out of it?
I was surprised how it could. But then I quickly understood the power of me being a Black Viennese woman who was older than most of my colleagues in the field, who had like a lot of professional knowledge my colleagues didn't have, and having a different perspective, how I can not just have impact, but also make money out of it. And here we go.
The full cycle.
Yes.
That's awesome. Do you have because we have a bunch of different gears, and I also want to be mindful of time, because actually we have about 10 minutes left or so. But maybe one last kind of question specifically about social media, because, you know, this is your bread and butter, and at least from the outside, and it's also a space that is very complicated. Like it has huge ramifications, you know, in the world and the way we interact, and it's really like a big, you know, catalyst to a lot of different social issues also. But it also creates a lot of progress to some extent, right?
Very complicated.
So where do you live in this paradox? Like, is this something that you think a lot about?
A lot. When the whole Trump thing happened, and there was this picture of all of them sitting behind of him. That changed my brain chemistry.
All of them being like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon.
Yes. Yeah. That changed my brain chemistry. And
that was a trippy one. I got freaked out.
Also watching, what was that show called? Succession. I watched Succession, the last season. So I had a completely different understanding of all of it. To be fully honest, I struggle. Yeah, I struggle with being on Meta because I feel like we shouldn't support it.
Sure.
On the other side, I feel like being off of it, if we all leave, shit is gonna go down.
Yeah, it's gonna be the bad ones.
It's gonna be the bad ones that's gonna stay. The bad ones and the ones who don't know better.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so yeah, I struggle. And to be fully honest, I don't know what to do about it. I'm not even gonna act like I do. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people that I've spoken to also as consumers feel kind of like this, where they're also, you know, again, this is like part of how you get your income. So it's a very different kind of thing to me, just being like, I'm deleting Instagram. I don't want to be on this platform anymore. But from your perspective with like also as a consumer and also your followers and stuff, do you have any insights into how people can actually, you know, take a step back from all of these distorted versions of reality and actually look at maybe the things that matter to them, like to bring out sort of the productive side of, for example, social media, like you've been putting out?
I feel like, to be fully honest, and I know I'm not doing myself a favor, but I keep telling people to consume less. Because if you consume less, you have more capacity to produce more of stuff that is not like the stuff everybody else consumes. I love a good social media trend. I will participate in a good social media trend, but I'm not a fan of us having the possibility of creating something individual and something impactful and then just creating something everybody else does. So I tell people, listen, you got to take a step back from social media to actually be active in social media without losing your mind. I know it sounds weird, but when I discovered TikTok and my algorithm was on point, I found myself being on TikTok for 4 or 5 hours straight.
It's crazy.
It is insane.
It like bites your brain.
Yes. And I remember me being in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, me sending my best friend another TikTok, him being up and replying.
Oh my God.
And my husband was like, why are you on your phone? And then I realized, oh my goodness, I'm completely addicted, but I haven't put anything out myself.
Yeah.
That's insane. So you need to step off. I know people always think, I don't need it. It doesn't consume. Yes, it does. It consumes your brain. You need to get off. You're not missing out on anything. And if you're missing out on something, best believe somebody is sending it to you. So you're going to be fine if you're not on social media all the time. I had to learn that. I actually think I just balanced it out like a year ago, 2.5 years ago, because I was so determined and I was so caught up in work because I had so many opportunities, and then there was this book, and then there was this swimwear, and then there was this and this and this. And I was like running. I didn't even notice. I was like on social media 365 days a year. Even if I didn't post it, I was at least watching it. And then I ended up being really exhausted.
It's rough.
Really
you feel
exhausted.
Like you're recharging, but it's draining.
Yes.
Yeah, it's draining completely.
It's draining. So I tell people to get off it.
And do you have some like precise healthy habit advice? How to consume social media? So maybe I hear some people get off social media for a weekend and they like don't switch it on at all. They're like saying bye on Friday and saying hi on Monday, or like maybe limiting the hours, or maybe like, I don't know, following those who actually resonate with you.
I think following those who actually resonate with you is a very good idea, which is hard if you're on TikTok, for example. I feel like taking a good hard look at yourself and the way you consume social media is a good start, and then checking yourself. Because if you like open Instagram, doom scroll Instagram, close it, go on TikTok, doom scroll TikTok, just to go back to Instagram, and you keep on doing that. And I mean, I was at that point where I was like, what am I doing? And as we talked about before, I'm a very rational person, so I'm like, nope, I'm stopping this right now. Because what's the point of it? Especially as somebody who grew up without social media, being so weirdly addicted to videos of other people is just...
it's a bit off.
And I feel like if you want to open social media in the morning, make sure it's not TikTok and it's not Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
It happens to the best of us sometimes. But if you have the opportunity not to, then don't. and I'm not going to say read a book because not everyone reads. But you know what? There are social media platforms that are not as aggressive on your brain, like Pinterest, where you can actually find like inspiration. Substack, I just found out about Substack. I heard about it.
Post about it.
Yes,
great, huh?
it is so cool. But I just got into it the other day, and now I'm a little bit like, I loved it.
Tell me more. I don't know much about
it's basically like it's the blog version of Instagram. Is it a good way to describe it? So because you have pictures, which are not as important, but the really part important is people having like little blog posts.
Okay.
It's almost like a
written content
newsletter.
Yes, yes, and I miss that. I didn't realize how much I missed it until I got on Substack. How I love reading other people's opinions, and and that's really nice. It's a really nice way to start your day. I feel that's
a much more productive way. That's a really good tip. Yeah.
Yes, because I feel like people always say, "Yeah, don't open social media until it's 12 o'clock." Listen, that's not realistic. Yeah. For some of us, it's just not realistic, and you know what? That's also okay.
Yeah.
So just if you want to open social media, just don't start with TikTok and Instagram, two apps that basically just scream at you. I'm not even going to talk about Facebook because listen, I open Facebook every 6 months and I'm like, I'm like, bye.
It's terrible.
You people are a whole different level of mean and aggressive and pissed. I'm not interested in you.
But actually the research also suggests that your brain emits different waves depending on your time of day, and that there's certain waves that the brain emits that like take in information in a much more sensitive way. And usually that happens really early in the morning for the first hour when you're up, and really late at night right before going to sleep. So those are actually the times of the day where everything that you ingest has a much bigger impact on your emotional state, on your feelings, on all kind of sensory experiences in your mood, that, you know, if you open like a post that's, you know, not so good for your brain at like 3 p.m., it's actually not going to have the same effect.
I remember like watching TikTok before bed and then waking up really aggravated. Like literally aggravated because the last 3 posts I saw was something that pissed me off. And that's insane.
It's crazy. Like 8 hours later, right?
Yes. You're still like, you wake up and you're like
tense.
And my husband is like, he's like a very morning person. He was like, did I do something wrong?
You're like, it was TikTok.
I just watched TikTok. So
8 hours ago.
8 hours ago. So
Crazy. I would have one more question, and then also Olga, if you have anything.
Let's go to the fun questions.
Can I just, let's do the reflective question. No, we'll close it out with a reflection question. We try to do that, but we usually go to kind of 1 or 2 fun questions before we wrap up. We would actually have had one, which I wanted to ask you what your hot take was about social media, but I feel like you kind of gave one already, which was
but maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Do you have a hot take about it? It doesn't have to be about social media. It should be about your field.
A hot take about my field.
Yeah.
My field is too white.
That's the thing. So that's why maybe social media.
My hot take about social media is, I don't know if that's even a hot take. It's not as safe as we think it is. Even if we're in a very liberal bubble, I feel like being in a liberal bubble on social media is very unsafe. If you're not a white cis straight person that is visibly not Christian. It's kind of worse. Because you know how if the Nazis are in their space, they're like, we're all Nazis, we're all fucked up, but at least we have each other. While in the liberal side, everybody's screaming at everybody. We're busy like micromanaging our thoughts and our belief, which is also very important. So but I feel like the idiots are getting quite far because we're busy fighting each other and not being each other's safe space. Like policing each other in what we're saying, how we're saying it, how we breathe, how we dress, how we and not giving space for mistakes. And I feel like calling in people for doing their mistakes is just as important as calling out people for doing their mistakes, and finding a way not being too extreme, which I am also trying to find.
That's tough.
It is tough. Is that a hot take? Or is that something...
No. I
think
think
so,
in general mainstream knowledge, I still think that would be a hot take.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we have one or two kind of true or false, because we've done so much of this campaign around myths, right?
Yeah.
So like, what are the myths around, having a career with purpose? Like I asked you the question about money, right? Can that coexist? So I think there's maybe one or two others that I would be curious of getting kind of your rapid fire answers.
Okay. Rapid fire. Oh, no.
It doesn't have to be rapid fire. No.
Because I'm really bad with rapid fires.
How many do we have? It's very easy.
You can think.
We have 5, right?
Yeah, I think the money and social impact you can leave out.
Okay, so let's start from the second one, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so it's true or false?
Try me, Olga.
You need to come from a privileged background to start a social enterprise or a social project or any project.
False.
Anyone can become an influencer.
False.
Ah, that's interesting.
Oh, do you need me to elaborate?
You don't have to. You can if you want, but you don't have to.
No, not everybody can do it. Not everybody can do it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's an insane job putting yourself out there. Not everybody can handle. I mean, I just went for breakfast with my friend Madeleine Daria.
Oh,
and
we were talking to her too about
we
the podcast.
We were wanted to invite her to this podcast as well.
I put in a good word. No, but not everybody can do the job. Especially if you're big. If you're not a black woman, not everybody can do it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of putting yourself out there for people that don't know you. Mm-hmm. And it's not like back in the days where you like write a letter to the. It will be in your DM, no filter, nothing, straight up in your face. And if it gets you on a bad day,
that's tough.
Yeah.
So
and that'll live for a long time.
Yes.
A question from our field: anyone can become a social entrepreneur.
False.
Okay, that one I would love for you to elaborate.
Me too.
On.
Yeah, I think not everybody is made for everything.
Yeah, sure.
To be fully honest, and not everybody has the stamina to be committed to something. Not everybody is grounded enough not to be blinded by money, for example, and then do something that kind of crashes all your work you did before, your social impact work. So I think not everybody can do it. I actually think we need to stop the narrative that everybody can do anything.
Yeah.
It's not true, and that's okay. I would be a horrible swimmer. I would be horrible. People would drown. I'm slow. I'm just, do you know what I mean? Not everybody can do everything, and that's 100%. Fine. I couldn't be I couldn't do my sister's job. I couldn't be surrounded by the topic of discrimination and racism
24/7.
24/7, because if she leaves the office, she's still a black woman in Austria with a mixed kid. So I always tell her, listen, I don't know how you do it, because I want to talk about Beyonce somewhere in between, just for my brain to relax a little bit.
Just to stay healthy mentally.
Yeah, and she'd be like, what's up with Beyonce? Is she still in Destiny's Child because she's somewhere completely else?
Yeah. But that's also actually just a little side note, but also for Social Impact Award, like our program, that's actually been one of the big shifts also in acknowledging that actually a lot of the value that we create in the way that we do things is about helping people find their potential and become an active citizen in society. Like whether they choose to do that through a company, whether they choose to join an NGO, if they want to be an influencer, they want to be an author, whatever you want to do. It's just kind of giving you the tools and the skills to go in that direction and do that well.
Exactly. And I feel like we stopped appreciating the small impact. Everything is 100%. Very grand. Everything is a business you just open. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. And I feel like, let's not forget the people who are keeping everything running. Let's not forget about the employees.
100%.
You can have a global social impact without starting your own business behind the camera, being in production, as I said in the beginning. There are so many little things you can also do by helping.
And that's a great one to finish off this little round. Work-life balance and career success cannot coexist.
In the beginning, it can't. At least if you start off small and you grow, the reality is it can't. And that's also what I mean by not everybody can do it.
For sure.
Not everybody is meant to be
Yeah.
self how do you call it?
Yeah, employed.
Yes,
and
thank
maybe doing your 9 to 5 still, working for an impact focused organization can be an awesome way,
Exactly.
you
Yes.
find your kind of thing. I wanted to just ask you one more reflective question,
Yes.
just to close it out. And that one would be, what is your wish for a young person who might be a follower of your content and might feel like the place that you got to is out of reach? What would you tell them?
It's not out of reach. I literally grew up in a Gemeinde bar in the 22nd district in a flat with my siblings and my parents, where we sometimes didn't have electricity. We didn't have warm water for years. You can do it. You can get wherever you want to go. It's probably not going to be as easy as it is for a lot of other people, but you can do it. It is possible. It also might not work, but
You'll learn something along
you
the way.
learn something
exactly.
along the way. And I think that's also very important, that you learn along the way, and you get there when you get there.
Yeah, it's a big adventure.
Yeah, it is. Oh, life.
Life. Big adventure.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
was great. Yeah.
It was so much fun. I could
Yeah,
have
did you
had
like
this.
it?
Amazing.
I loved
Thanks.
it. We could have this conversation forever. I'm going home. I'm like, let me think about my life. My social
That's
impact.
great.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you for
We're super
having
happy.
me.
Of
Thanks a
course.
lot.
Awesome.
If you're passionate about something, you just want to do it.
You don't
Sometimes
think about it.
it's like 11 p.m. at night and I'm sitting there and I see my laptop at the desk and I'm thinking about a solution to a problem on the product or something, and I'm just like, okay, sit down, do it,
then
because
go to
I want to get this thing
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, you're
And
locked in.
Yeah.